Single dad janitor discovers incredible truth about CEO's blind daughter life-changing secret. Jake scrubbed the floors at the university, a determined single dad lost in the rhythm of his routine, longing for a life where he and his daughter, Lily, could thrive. But every night, after the long shift and physical exhaustion, he returned to their small apartment, feeling the weight of dreams still unfulfilled. At 42, he worked hard to provide, yet the connection with his brilliant teenage daughter seemed just out of reach, locked away behind the closed doors of her heart. One evening, while there, a shining office lit up the dim corridor. The CEO's office. It was lavish warm wood, sleek glass, everything a reflection of wealth and power. As Jake's mop glided over the polished floor, he noticed a drawer slightly ajar. Curiosity piqued, he opened it to find a handwritten note nestled among plush folders. The words on the page drew him in, telling a haunting story of Emma, the CEO's blind daughter. He read of her hidden talent for music, a gift that filled her spirit with joy, yet weighed by the high expectations of her father and the judgments of a world that thought herself incapable. Burdened by her disability, Emma felt isolated, and her artistry buried beneath the surface, yearning for connection just like Lily. With each line, Jake felt a tear prick his eye. He was discovering something profound, a truth that resonated deep within him. His daughter had a similar light inside, a creative spark ignited by music and art, but buried beneath layers of teenage silence. Jake realized how close Emma's struggles mirrored Lily's. As his heart raced for the girls, a powerful thought took root: what if he could bring them together? A music event. A chance for their talents to shine. Before he could second-guess himself, Jake started plotting. He could envision the notes filling the air, the girls weaving together a symphony of hope. Excitement coursed through him, igniting a new purpose in his life as he imagined a future where Lily could flourish without fear. But then the doubts crept in. He was just a janitor. What did he know about organizing events? Would the CEO even listen? After all, those in his circle lived behind a veil of privilege, and the thought of exposing Emma's vulnerabilities felt like a risk too great to take on. Yet as he mulled over the struggles of both girls, Jake realized he was not just advocating for Lily, he was fighting for Emma as well. In a moment of clarity, he gathered himself, standing in front of the CEO, emotions swirling like a storm inside. "I feel your daughter has such a gift. She deserves a chance to showcase it. They both need this," he pleaded, but the CEO's stone-cold expression cut like a knife, leaving a silence that echoed painfully in the air. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As the tension thickened, Jake felt the weight of both their worlds crashing down. Would he be strong enough to pierce through social divides and offer the chance they deserved? Just as he laid bare his intentions, the CEO's reaction sent shockwaves through the room, drowning Jake's hope in disbelief. Would this be the end for their dreams of unity? Would silence swallow them whole, or could music break the barriers that kept them apart? The answer loomed in the air, waiting to be uncovered. Jake's heart pounded in the thick silence that followed his words. He could feel the CEO's icy glare pinning him in place, a swift torrent of anxiety washing over him. The office, once a beacon of hope, now felt like a cage. He could almost hear Lily's laughter, a melody that seemed to dance in his memory, pulling him back to the warmth of home. They had talked about dreams so many times, dreams too big for their small lives. Did he just ruin any chance of fulfilling them? "Mr. Reynolds," the CEO finally said, his voice low and deliberate, "this is not your concern. Emma's abilities are not something we showcase for the pleasure of others." The words dripped with disdain, and with each syllable, Jake felt his resolve waver. "But she deserves to be heard." He shot back, surprising even himself with the strength behind his voice. Both of our daughters deserve to be seen. You're hiding her talent when you should be embracing it. The CEO's surprise morphed into a cold disdain, brows furrowing deeper. You speak so passionately for a janitor. What do you know of my daughter's struggles? You have no idea what she has been through. Jake crossed his arms, suddenly determined to hold his ground. I may be a janitor, but I'm also a father. I see my daughter's pain. I see her hiding behind her art, just like Emma is hiding behind expectations. For a brief moment, Jake saw a flicker of uncertainty in the CEO's gaze. Maybe it was the mention of Emma's pain, the reflection of his own daughter's life, a mirror he had held up to view the truth. Then that flicker faded, replaced by a stormy look of anger. This is not the place for this conversation. Then where is? Jake pressed, his voice rising stubbornly. Are you going to let her talents drown in the noise of your corporate world? Because if you don't give her the chance to perform, to express herself, then you're sacrificing her spirit, Mr. Reynolds. The CEO recoiled slightly. To Jake's surprise, it felt as if a veil had been torn, the tension bubbling beneath had been touched for just a second. A door within that luxurious office might have just cracked open. Before the atmosphere could shift more completely, Jake turned and strode toward the door, his heart racing with both fear and hope. Just think about it. Emma needs a stage, he called back, the words echoing behind him as he escaped into the corridor. Walking back, Jake wrestled with conflicting emotions. Had he gone too far? Was he risking his job, and maybe even his relationship with Lily? His hands tightened around the mop handle, not wanting to return to their small apartment with nothing but doubt looming over him. Arriving home, he found Lily sprawled on their worn couch, headphones on, eyes closed, lost in a world of her own creation. A pang of longing surged through him. He stood there, watching as she brushed her fingers through the air, likely dreaming of music. He approached her gently, hesitant to break the spell. In that soft moment, he realized how vital it was for him to ignite that spark in her life. Lily? He called softly. She opened her eyes, her smile melting his worries away. Hey, Dad. She said brightly, pulling off her headphones. How was work? As he settled beside her, he couldn't help but think of Emma, how similar their worlds seemed to be. Maybe their paths could unite. I think something big might happen soon, he said, excitement bubbling up in his chest. What do you mean? Lily asked, curious. Jake smiled, feeling the hope revive inside of him, a new idea forming. What if I told you there's a chance for you to share your music with others? What if there's more than just us? But before he could explain further, Lily's eyes lit up, her interest piqued. Really? Tell me everything. In that moment, surrounded by love and warmth, Jake felt like they were one step closer to breaking barriers, to lighting the way for both Lily and Emma. But as hope flickered, doubt lingered in his mind. Would they have the courage to seize the opportunity and show the world their true talents? Tomorrow loomed with uncertainty. Would he be able to turn this spark into reality? The next morning, Jake woke up to a gray sky, the clouds heavy with the promise of rain. He could hear the faint sound of Lily humming in the bathroom as she got ready for school. The melody, sweet and innocent, nudged at his heart, pushing him to want more, to fight for what really mattered. With a determined breath, he got out of bed and got dressed. Today was different. Today, he was going to take a chance. He thought about the conversation with the CEO and a plan began forming in his mind. What if he could set up a showcase, an event where Lily and Emma could truly shine? He made breakfast, pouring her cereal and buttering a piece of toast, but his thoughts were elsewhere. Dad! Lily shouted from the bathroom, snapping him out of his reverie. Do you think I should wear the blue shirt or the green one? Blue. Definitely blue. He called back, a smile creeping onto his face. As she rushed out, hair still damp, she donned the blue shirt. It looked good against her sunny complexion, and it reminded Jake of the ocean, wild and full of potential. The thought of Lily standing on a stage, sharing her music, filled him with both pride and anxiety. Could he really pull this off? After dropping Lily off at school, he drove to the office, knowing he had to talk to the CEO again. Today, he wouldn't just be a janitor. He would be a father advocating for his daughter and her potential, as well as for Emma. The drive felt like the longest journey of his life, but a fire ignited within him with every mile. When he stepped into the sleek office building, he leaned on the reception desk, summoning the courage that pulsed through him. "I need to see Mr. Reynolds," he told the receptionist. Her surprised gaze met his, but she nodded, pressing the buttons to the intercom. "Mr. Reynolds, Jake is here to see you." Jake took a deep breath, the anticipation swirling inside him like a child waiting for the results of a race. He was ushered into the same office, but this time, he felt more in control, less the prey and more the hunter, determined to reveal the truth that lay hidden in shadows. "Mr. Reynolds," he began, his heart racing as he faced the CEO again. "I've been thinking about what I said yesterday. I believe our daughters deserve a chance to be seen and heard. Not just as artists, but as individuals capable of inspiring others." The CEO looked different today, still stony-faced but with a hint of curiosity lingering. "What are you suggesting? What if we organize a performance? A showcase where they can share their gifts? It could highlight their talents and maybe, just maybe, bring light to a larger conversation about talent, perception, and acceptance." Jake could see the wheels turning in the CEO's mind, but doubt still hung in the air. "Do you think it will change anything?" "I have to believe it will. Don't you want to see Emma bright and happy, showing the world who she is?" The office went silent, the tension palpable. Jake could almost hear the thumping of his own heart, syncing with the rhythm of hope that swirled around them. "By the way, how did Emily's audition go?" he asked, taking a risk, hoping to strike a chord. The last thing he needed was to seem pushy. But in the softness of his tone, he searched for connection. A flash of compassion crossed the CEO's face. "It didn't go as planned," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "She's been struggling for a while." Jake leaned closer, urgency mixing with sincerity. "Just as Lily has with her music, just as Emma has. They need someone to believe in their spark, in their dreams." The CEO stared at him, a storm of emotions hidden behind his cold exterior. "You have some guts, Mr. Harrison. But you're not an event planner," he said, his eyes narrowing. "I believe we can do this together," Jake shot back, his conviction fueling him. "If you allow us to show that raw talent raise their voices, maybe we can make a difference for both our daughters." They exchanged a moment that felt electric, the tension charging the air between them. Suddenly, the CEO's phone rang, shattering the moment. He frowned, glanced at Jake, then picked up the phone. "Let me think about it," he said, his attention shifting. As Jake left the office, he felt both exhilarated and terrified. The opportunity hung on a knife's edge. He had planted the seed, but would the CEO let it grow? With determined steps, Jake headed home, his mind racing. What if the chance to change everything was within reach? Could he convince Lily and Emma, and most importantly, could they rise to the occasion? Tomorrow, all would unfold. And as he thought about the unknown possibilities ahead, the spark of hope ignited once more within him. The next morning, Jake woke with the sun breaking through the clouds, a vibrant golden light washing over the room. He could almost hear the sound of Lily's laughter echoing from the kitchen as she prepared for another day at school. For the first time in a while, his heart felt light, buoyed by the hope he had stirred the day before. He moved through the house, the familiar comfort of his home suffusing him with determination. He recalled the brief conversation with the CEO. Was it enough? Did he really believe that they could create something meaningful, a showcase that could change everything? Jake pushed the thought aside, focusing on the moment. Breakfast went by in a flurry of giggles and spilled milk as Lily excitedly told him about her upcoming music class. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and he couldn't help but smile. Her dreams, innocent and bright, sparked a fire deep within him, urging him to fight harder. "Dad, I heard from Emma that they might start a new project at school. Can you help me practice my song later?" Lily asked, eyes wide. "Of course," Jake replied, his voice steady despite the nerves swirling inside him. The idea of helping both girls reach new heights filled him with pride. Today, he would talk to the CEO again. He had to. After dropping Lily off, Jake drove to the office, determination coursing through him like an electric current. The building loomed ahead, its polished glass reflecting the sunlight, seeming to challenge him to enter. This time, he wouldn't just ask. He would demand a chance, not just for Lily, but for Emma, too. As he walked through the lobby, the receptionists greeted him with familiarity. Quickly, he made his way to the CEO's office, heart pounding in his chest. He could feel the weight of both girls' hopes resting on his shoulders. "Mr. Reynolds, we need to talk," Jake said as he strode into the office, his voice firm. The CEO looked up from his desk, surprise flickering in his eyes before it settled back into a familiar stoicism. "Mr. Harrison. I didn't expect you so soon." "I can't just sit back and wait," Jake began, urgency lacing his words. "This is more than just about a showcase. It's about giving our daughters a platform. They deserve more than to remain in the shadows." "Where are you going with this?" Reynolds inquired, leaning back, but this time Jake noticed a glimmer of intrigue rather than skepticism. "I want to do this together. I need your help to put this on the map. You talk about talent, let us show everyone what true talent looks like. Let us give them a voice." The conviction in Jake's voice echoed around the room. Reynolds studied him carefully, the silence stretching into an uncomfortably tense moment. "And what makes you so sure this is the right path?" "Because I've seen what these girls can do. They're not just kids with dreams, they have the ability to inspire an entire community. What better legacy could we leave?" Jake felt the weight of his words, the power of possibility hanging in the air between them. For a moment, Jake thought he could see a crack in the CEO's facade. But then, Reynolds turned his gaze away, mulling it over. This was it, the moment of truth was teetering on the edge of possibilities. "I need to think about it," Reynolds began, his brows furrowed, but Jake wasn't ready to back down. "What are you afraid of?" "Failure. It's a risk, yes. But imagine the joy we could bring." Finally, the CEO met his eyes again, a mix of emotions playing across his face. "Why do you care so much?" Jake's heart raced. "Because I believe they're worth it. And for the first time, I see a chance to change our worlds." Reynolds opened his mouth to respond, but just then, his phone buzzed loudly, cutting into the tension once more. With every tick of the seconds that passed, Jake felt his heart sink, wondering if this was the end of their conversation or just the beginning. "Can we schedule a follow-up meeting?" Jake asked as the CEO glanced at his phone, irritation flickering across his features. Reynolds paused, then nodded slowly, "Tomorrow." As Jake left the office, exhilaration mingled with uncertainty. Tomorrow wasn't just another day, it was another chance. Could he really make this happen? Would the CEO come around? He drove home, excitement battling with anxiety in equal measures. This venture meant everything for both girls, and for himself. Could he help them step into the spotlight? The thought was tantalizing, yet terrifying. That night, as Jake tucked Lily in, he felt a sense of peace. "Remember, sweetheart, we're going to make this happen." But as he turned to leave the room, doubt crept in. Would it really turn out the way he hoped? The alarm clock on Lily's nightstand blinked 11:11, and a thought flickered through his mind. Could wishes really come true? Tomorrow, everything could change. And just when he thought that was the end, a knock on the door startled him. He opened it, and there, standing wet and muddy from the storm outside, was Emma, her eyes hopeful yet anxious. "Can I tell you something?" she asked, her voice trembling with uncertainty. Jake felt a sudden rush of fear. What if this was the pivotal moment he had been waiting for? Jake's heart raced as he took in Emma's disheveled appearance. Rain soaked her hair and smudged the edges of her hopeful smile, but there was a fire in her eyes that he couldn't ignore. In that moment, he felt the weight of her uncertainty, and it pulled him closer. Of course, Em. What's on your mind? He knelt down to meet her gaze, wiping a stray raindrop from her cheek, a small gesture that felt monumental. Emma hesitated, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know how to say this, but I think I found something that could help us. What do you mean? Jake leaned in, urging her to continue. The storm outside howled, mirroring the turmoil inside him. This was the moment that could shift everything. I was at the park today, just thinking, you know. And I overheard some of the bigger kids talking about a talent show. They said it could be a big deal, a chance for everyone to perform. If we could get in. Her voice trailed off, allowing her hope to hang in the air like the scent of wet earth. Jake felt a stirring inside him. That's incredible, Emma. But how do we get involved? They said if we can show our talent to the judges, we could be part of it. I was thinking if we could combine Lily's singing with your experience and reach out to Mr. Reynolds. Wait. Jake interrupted, feeling warmth spread through him. You think Mr. Reynolds would support us? Maybe. You said he needs to see talent, right? Well, imagine the girls performing together. Emma suggested, her excitement bubbling over. Jake could almost visualize it, the stage lights illuminating Lily and Emma as they sang their hearts out, capturing the world's attention. Suddenly, doubt transformed into a flicker of determination. You know what, Emma? I think we can make this happen. A smile danced across Emma's lips, but Jake noticed the shadow of doubt still lingering in her eyes. But what if it's not enough? What if we fail? He laid a gentle hand on her shoulder, searching her eyes. What if we do? If it's for a chance, if it's to let their voices shine, it's worth the risk. Isn't it? Emma nodded slowly, as if his words planted a small seed of courage within her. The atmosphere shifted, the storm outside echoing less ominously now. His heart swelled with hope, punctuated by the realization that this was a team effort. They wouldn't be alone in this. As they exchanged more ideas about how to approach the talent show, the energy in the room crackled. With each plan, Jake's confidence grew. This couldn't just be a dream, it needed to be a reality. Just then, a loud clap of thunder jolted them back to the moment, reminding Jake of the uncertainty that loomed like the storm. We'll approach Mr. Reynolds together tomorrow, right after school. But I need you to promise me something. Emma looked up, curious. You have to believe we can do this, no matter how it turns out. I promise, she said, her gaze steady, reassured by his conviction. That night, as Jake tucked Lily in again, he felt the familiar twinge of nervousness but layered with something new excitement. He glanced back at Emma sitting on the edge of the bed, her eyes twinkling under the soft glow of the nightlight. Tomorrow's a big day, girls. Are you ready for it? He asked, feeling a rush of optimism that wrapped around them like a protective blanket. Ready. They echoed in unison, their voices filled with a shared anticipation that sent a surge of warmth through him. As Jake left the room, a flicker of doubt tugged at him once more. Would it work? Would they really capture the attention of someone like Reynolds? But he firmly planted a seed of hope in the depths of his heart. He had to trust in their talent, their dreams, and in the little miracles that came from stepping out of the shadows. Outside, the rain began to slow, and in the silence that followed, Jake felt it an undeniable truth. No matter how tangled the path ahead might be, they were walking it together. And just as he closed the door behind him, he heard Emma whisper, "Tomorrow, everything will change." But would it all go according to plan, or would unexpected challenges come crashing in like the storm that had just passed? The morning sun peeked through the curtain, casting a warm light across Jake's small living room. He was already up, pacing back and forth with an energy that buzzed like a live wire. Today was the day. Today was their chance. His mind darted back to last night's conversation. Emma's bright eyes, her infectious hope, it sparked something fierce in him. They had their plan, but he still felt the faint whisper of nerves tickling his spine. What if Mr. Reynolds didn't see the potential? What if they had misjudged his interest in community talent? Lily's sleepy voice brought him back to the present. Daddy, is today the day we sing? Jake turned and knelt down beside her bed. Yes, sweetheart. It's the day we show everyone what you can do. Are you ready? Lily rubbed her eyes, her face lighting up as she stretched. I'm ready. I practiced my favorite song. Good. I can't wait to hear it, he said, planting a kiss on her forehead. With that, he helped her out from under the covers and into her clothes. As they ate breakfast, the butterflies in Jake's stomach danced wildly. Emma arrived just in time, her hair still damp from the shower, but her smile bright and ready for the day ahead. Hey! Are you both ready for the adventure? Adventure! Lily echoed, grinning widely. Jake stood up and smiled at Emma. You got her excited. Thank you for being here. Wouldn't he miss it for the world, Emma said, her enthusiasm matching Lily's. The trio shared breakfast giggles, a moment of levity that reminded Jake just how precious these small instances were. Finally, it was time to go. The kids and Jake walked to school, the morning air crisp and fresh. He could see children laughing, running around. It reminded him of how he used to feel before embarking on memories that faded like shadows. This talent show could be their light. As they arrived at the school, the hallways buzzed with chatter and anticipation. Every corner felt alive with possibilities and a sprinkle of chaos. Jake held Lily's hand, feeling her excitement pulse through him. Okay, remember what we talked about, he said to Emma as they approached the music room to find Mr. Reynolds. Confidence. We can do this together. Emma nodded, her gaze fixing on the classroom door. Right. We just have to show him how special Lily is. Jake's heart fluttered. Together, he thought. They were a team. They entered the room, where Mr. Reynolds sat at his desk, flipping through papers. His glasses perched on his nose, he looked up with a mix of curiosity and what Jake thought might be skepticism. Good morning, Mr. Reynolds. We wanted to talk to you about the talent show, Emma began, her voice steady despite the tension thick in the air. Talent show? He perked up, intrigued. What do you have in mind? Jake stepped forward. Lily has an incredible voice, and we'd like to perform together. Emma will support her with the choreography, he added, hoping his words carried the weight of their anticipation. Lily? Mr. Reynolds turned his piercing gaze toward the girl standing shyly by Jake's side. Can you sing for me? Jake's stomach nodded. Lily looked up, her big eyes shimmering, then nodded, taking a deep breath. Yes, sir. As she began to sing a sweet, clear melody, Jake felt his heart swell. Each note carried a tender innocence that captured the room. Jake caught a glimpse of Emma's barely contained joy, and he felt it ignite something within himself too. For a couple of moments, the world faded away. It was just Lily and her song, a melody of dreams, each word floating like a gentle breeze until it came to an end. She looked at the two older kids, unsure but hopeful. Mr. Reynolds leaned back, blinking as if coming out of a trance. His expression turned thoughtful. That was beautiful, Lily. Very impressive. Jake's breath caught in his throat. Was that a sign of approval? Just as it seemed like the clouds of doubt might break apart, he noticed a flicker of something behind Mr. Reynolds' eyes, a hint of concern. However, he said slowly, there's a lot of competition for a spot in this talent show. The air thickened, and Jake's heart thudded louder. Would they still have a chance? What if Emma interjected, we could find a way to make Lily stand out even more? Mr. Reynolds raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Jake felt the world teetering on the edge of something monumental. How far could they push their dreams? What were the lengths they were willing to go to make it happen? But as doubt hovered, Jake felt it again, that warmth building within him. Let us not lose hope, he whispered to himself, eyes flickering between Emma and Lily. This was just the beginning, an uncertain start that came with a small spark of potential. What would it take next to transform that spark into something unstoppable? Jake stood there, the air heavy with unspoken words. The moment felt precarious, like a candle flickering in a strong breeze. He searched Mr. Reynolds' face for any sign of support, a glimmer of hope in the shadow of doubt. Mr. Reynolds, he said, finding his voice despite the thundering in his chest, we believe in Lily's talent. We believe there is something special here that could genuinely resonate with everyone. Resonate? Mr. Reynolds echoed, rubbing his chin contemplatively. That's quite a word for a little girl's singing, don't you think? The edge in his voice gnawed at Jake's confidence. He shot a quick glance at Lily, her small hands clenching and unclenching nervously. She looked small against the backdrop of the imposing classroom, a swirl of colorful posters and an old piano that seemed to beckon with the promise of dreams. Emma chimed in again, her tone passionate. We can create a unique performance, something that shows the audience who Lily is. Not just a voice, but her story. Her story, Mr. Reynolds said, intrigued. What do you imagine that might look like? Jake and Emma exchanged glances filled with the energy of a shared idea. What if we incorporate a dance? Something meaningful that expresses her journey? Jake said, hope sparking like a match igniting. Lily can communicate with her movements just as much as her voice. I like that, Emma added. We can build a narrative around her song, something that draws the audience in. It'll be about more than just singing. It'll be about connection. Lily's eyes widened, catching the infectious enthusiasm. She brightened and stood taller, stirring with newfound confidence. I can do that. I can dance. Mr. Reynolds raised an eyebrow, visibly considering the sweet optimism radiating from the trio. That could work, but it'll take a lot of practice. You'll need to put your heart into it and prepare for the unexpected. Jake nodded vigorously, feeling strength in their unity. We're all in, Mr. Reynolds. We'll work hard. The teacher smiled thoughtfully, noting their determination. All right, then. I'll give you a chance to audition again after showing me what you can put together. But know that it's going to be tough competing against seasoned performers. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. They exclaimed, a wave of relief washing over them. As they left the room, Lily bounced on her feet, the excitement bubbling inside her. Did you hear that? We're really going to do it. Absolutely. Jake laughed, throwing an arm around her shoulder. But first, we need a plan. Outside in the sun-drenched hallway, Emma leaned closer. Lily, if you want to dance and sing, we can start right away. What song do you want to choose? Lily beamed, everything feeling possible. Can we do A Whole New World? It's my favorite. Jake's heart swelled. That song carried a promise of discovery, much like the journey they were embarking on together. Hours melted into one another as they sat at the small picnic table outside, sketching ideas and flowing with creativity. There was laughter, a sense of urgency, and love woven into each plan they laid out. The sun began to set, casting hues of orange and pink across the sky, just as the first flickers of doubt from earlier started to fade. As they returned to Jake's apartment later that evening, the atmosphere was different. The spark had ignited something deep in all of them. They were no longer just hoping for a chance, they were crafting their vision together, every laugh, every line choreographed, every note resonated like a heartbeat stronger together. But lurking beneath their enthusiasm still lingered concern about the challenges ahead. What trials awaited them as they reached for their dream? Would they find strength in their unity, or would the pressures push them apart? And in that flickering twilight, Jake felt an undeniable yearning for them to prove that their story could not only be told but shared can make all the difference. The next morning, the energy was electric. Jake woke up to the sound of Lily humming the melody of her chosen song. It resonated through their small apartment like a gentle tapping at a door, inviting hope to come in. He quickly pulled himself out of bed and peeked into the living room, where Lily sat cross-legged among a sea of papers, diligently sketching out a new dance move. "Hey kiddo, you're up early," he said, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. Lily looked up, her eyes sparkling. "You won't believe what I dreamed about. I was on stage, and everyone was clapping." Jake chuckled and walked over to join her. "I can believe it. That's where you belong, isn't it?" "Yes," she exclaimed, bouncing slightly on the floor before returning to her sketches. "I want my dance to tell a story about a girl who finds her magic." With Lily's infectious enthusiasm guiding them, they dove into their preparations. They transformed the living room into a makeshift stage, moving furniture aside to mimic the atmosphere of the auditorium where they would perform. Emma arrived just as Jake was draping a bright sheet over a chair to serve as a backdrop. "I have some ideas for the dance," Emma burst in, her face flushed with excitement. "What if we start with you feeling lost, and then you find that magical moment with the song?" Lily clasped her hands together. "Yes. Like I'm really looking for something, and then I open my arms when the music swells." They practiced tirelessly. The laughter spilled over, punctuated by clumsy dance steps and missed notes, but they never let that deter them. Each misstep only fueled their determination. As the days passed, they created a routine that entwined Lily's voice with her dance, layering emotion like the colorful stages of a sunset. Every afternoon, after school, they poured into those hours with passion. In the quiet the day's end, amid tired small bodies, it felt like there was a tangible magic suspended in the air, a sense that something beautiful was taking shape. But just as the rehearsals intensified, so did the pressure. Jake began to worry about how to balance his job as a janitor with the demands of their rehearsals. Time was slipping through his fingers, and he felt the weight of responsibilities building on his shoulders. One evening, after a long day, his exhaustion made his heart heavy. He watched Lily practicing her dance in the living room, and the smile on her face tugged at his heart. Yet, shadows lurked within him, whispering doubts that crept in during the quiet moments. "Do you think we can really do this?" he asked, breaking the tender silence hanging between them. Lily paused mid-spin, her expression turning serious. "Of course. You'll see. Just like in my dream." But even as she spoke, Jake could see a flicker of uncertainty shadow her spark. Her small hands clenched into fists, and he couldn't shake the feeling that there was a fragility beneath her bravado, like a tiny flame fighting against the wind. As they continued to prepare, Lily began to face her own doubts as well. Each time she practiced, she hesitated, her confidence wavering. The pressure of the competition loomed large, casting doubt on their joyous adventure. Still, Jake reminded himself that dreams were rarely easy journeys. They needed a renewed sense of purpose, some kind of spark to rekindle that fire within them. One night, after a particularly tough rehearsal, where Lily stumbled and faltered, Jake, filled with conviction, gathered them for a talk. "I know it's hard right now, but remember what we're doing this for. It's more than just a performance, it's about our story. And stories, real stories, come from struggle and overcoming challenges." Lily nodded, her brows furrowed in thought. "You're right. We're not giving up, right?" Jake smiled, squeezing her shoulder. "Never." But just as the resolve swelled within their small group, Jake received a text from the school, a reminder of the upcoming audition. Anxiety threatened to grip him tightly. What if they weren't good enough? As he stared at his screen, he felt a knot tightening in his stomach. Could they really manage to shine among the others? With their moment drawing near, Jake couldn't shake the blaring questions in his mind. What if the pressure became too much? And could their bond hold against the weight of expectations? But one thing was clear, they had to stand together, or they might fall apart. Then, a voice broke through his thoughts. Emma's eyes sparkled with excitement as she declared, "Let us give it our all. We're more than just words and dreams. We can make it real." And as the sun began to rise again, they all felt a tinge of hope. But would hope be enough to propel them toward their dream when the moment of truth arrived? The sun filtered softly through the apartment window, illuminating the scattered practice notes and sketches that now defined their days. Jake watched as Lily danced, her body moving rhythmically, each step filled with intention. In those moments, she didn't just perform, she soared. Her laughter echoed against the walls, a reminder of why they were both doing this, yet the jubilation of morning came with an undercurrent of tension. Jake felt the weight of another long day ahead. As he put together a quick breakfast, thoughts of the workday flooded in. Would they be ready? Could he muster the energy after a night of rehearsing? Lily skipped over, a plate of toast in hand. "Dad, can we try the new routine before you go? The one with the big finish?" The eagerness in her voice sparked something deep within him. "Sure, but just a little bit, okay? I've got to leave soon," he replied, tousling her hair as she bounded away. They practiced that new sequence, her dance transforming under the glow of the morning light. With each twirl and leap, Jake's heart filled with pride and love. But as she begged for another run, exhaustion crept in. The memory of long hours mopping floors, wiping down counters, and endless responsibilities loomed, and he felt guilty for wanting to draw boundaries. "All right, one more time, let us make it the best one yet," he encouraged, pushing through the fatigue. When they finished, Lily came running over, throwing her arms around him. "That was amazing. I can feel my magic, Dad." He smiled, but his chest tightened. "You've got all the magic you need. Just remember, it's okay to stumble. Every great dancer has to stand back up." She nodded, her face beaming, yet Jake sensed a flicker of doubt lingering in her eyes. It hit him hard. He couldn't let the weight of his fears shadow the light she held. Later at work, scrubbing floors under the harsh midday fluorescent lights, he kept replaying their dance in his head. The unyielding rhythm echoed in the background of his thoughts. Each scrub felt like he was wrestling with his own anxieties, battling against the nagging worries that they might fall short. During his break, Jake couldn't resist pulling out his phone. He took a deep breath before digging into the community page for performers. With one glance at the posts and comments from other competitors, hope blended with dread. Some were already showcasing polished routines, well-practiced and seemingly perfect. He felt a wave of helplessness wash over him. As he sat there, scrolling, another message from Emma popped up. "Let us meet tonight for a final regroup. I've got some great ideas for the climax of the performance." Her optimism was infectious, and Jake's heart swelled again, but that familiar knot tightened. Would they grasp the true essence of teamwork when the night loomed closer? Back home, the apartment buzzed with a vibrant energy as they gathered for their final showdown rehearsal. Laughter ensued, a bright counterpoint to Jake's simmering concerns. Yet, as they took their places, he suddenly felt overheated, anxiety wrapping around him like a choking vine. "Jake?" Lily's voice broke through his spiraling thoughts. Her gaze met his, soft yet penetrating. "You okay?" Her worry was enough to ground him. He realized this wasn't just his dream, but there's their dance, their story. They were a unit, each tethered gently to the other. He swallowed hard and nodded. "Let us do this together." As they started, Lily danced with fire, drawing power from every sway and turn. The performance was magic woven into reality, a tale of longing, discovery, and resilience. The air thickened as they approached the final scene, all their fears trailing behind, but then, in that powerful moment, something unexpected happened. An unplanned step made Jake and Lily lock eyes. A spark ignited, and suddenly he saw her not just as his daughter, but a fellow artist, brimming with talent. Caught in that split second, Jake realized their story was evolving right before him. "What if we do it this way?" he whispered, uncertainty and excitement twirling. Together, the final touches hinged on what they would create. Yet as the music faded, a nagging voice asked, would their newfound energy be powerful enough in front of the judges? With the date of the audition drawing ever nearer, they couldn't dodge the question any longer. And deep down, a voice urged him on, what if this performance changes everything? The morning of the talent show arrived, clear and bright, a stark contrast to the turbulent storm of emotions swirling inside Jake. He stood in front of the mirror, his hands trembling slightly as he adjusted his collar. Lily's laughter echoed down the hall, a sweet sound that reminded him of why they were doing this. They weren't just performing, they were reaching for a dream, together. Dad! Are you ready? Lily's voice called out, her excitement palpable. I'm coming. He responded, adrenaline pushing through the lingering doubts. Together, they had practiced tirelessly, pouring their hearts into every move, every note. But would it be enough? As they made their way to the school, they were joined by Emma, her eyes shining with anticipation. This is it, guys. We've got this. She declared, the determination in her voice sending a boost of confidence through Jake. When they arrived at the auditorium, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. Other performers lined the hallways, each child hoping for their moment in the spotlight. The air smelled of polished wood and a hint of fresh paint, the stage set for dreams to unfold. Jake felt a wave of nerves crash over him, the beauty of the space illuminated the weight of expectations. Would Lily and Emma be able to stand strong? Look at the stage, Dad. It's huge. Lily exclaimed, her eyes wide as she pointed toward the bright lights. When her gaze shifted to Jake, he could see the sparkle of hope and excitement mingling in her expression. Yes. Just like we practiced. Remember to breathe. He encouraged, joining her infectious enthusiasm. He was doing this for them, not just as a father, but as an advocate for their dreams. Backstage felt smaller than Jake expected, the corners crowded with props and nervous performers. His heart raced as the girls huddled together, whispering strategies and affirmations. In the midst of their playful banter, he felt a moment of clarity. You know, no matter what happens out there, I'm proud of you both, he said, his voice steady. You are both incredible. The curtain drew closer, and that feeling of unity wrapped around them like a protective blanket. With connected hands, they exchanged glances filled with understanding. They were in this together, embracing the journey with open hearts. Suddenly, it was time. The stage manager called for the next act, adrenaline pulsed through Jake's veins, and he couldn't help but smile. Showtime. He whispered, nudging them forward. As they stepped onto the stage, the spotlight illuminated Lily, dazzling her in a golden glow. She took a deep breath, summoning her courage, and when she began to sing, the world fell away. Her voice rang out, pure and clear, weaving a narrative of magic and discovery. Jake watched in awe, every note stirring the audience, painting emotions in vivid colors. Emma joined her with grace, her body moving in synchrony to the melody, a seamless dance telling their story. As they reached the climax, Jake realized this was more than just a performance, it was a celebration of their journey, a manifestation of their struggles and triumphs. The rhythm of their hearts synced with the beat of the music, and for those mesmerizing moments, they became one with their art. The applause erupted like a storm, washing over them in waves of encouragement. They beamed at each other, their smiles radiant with joy and relief. Jake felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes, overwhelmed by the realization that they had done it. They had stepped out of the shadows and into the light. As the final note rang through the auditorium, the audience rose to their feet. The cheers and claps echoed like thunder, a deafening roar of approval. A warm flood of validation cradled Jake, and in that moment, he knew they hadn't just performed, they had transformed. After the applause faded, Mr. Reynolds approached them with a glimmer of admiration in his eyes. You both were remarkable. I appreciate the passion you brought to the stage. Jake felt a surge of hope. This could mean more than just a compliment. Lily and Emma exchanged glances, their faces glowing with disbelief and excitement. They had made it through. But deep inside, Jake clenched his fists. This wasn't just about recognition. He wanted change for them, real, lasting change. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. This was just the beginning for both of our daughters, Jake said, his voice steady, confident, and filled with the fire of a father's love. There's so much more they can accomplish. With that, Jake realized, sometimes one moment, one decision to fight for hope could change everything. As he beamed at Lily and Emma, their dreams intertwined in this beautiful dance, he felt a sense of clarity, no longer just a janitor, but a proud father, an advocate for a brighter future. These stories of courage and raw talent would ripple out a chorus, leaving an imprint on their lives and the world. Just as the last light of the day faded, Jake looked towards the horizon of possibility. This was their time, their moment to shine. And he knew, even amidst the uncertainty, that they had discovered a truth more profound than they had imagined, that together, anything was possible. Now, as we close the curtain on Jake and the girl's journey, you have the chance to be part of something incredible. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, because your support means everything. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. And for your friends craving inspiration, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support for our growing community. Together, we can spread hope and creativity far and wide.